This is week 4 screencast 1 for ICS 465, and today I will be going over the React framework introductory example. So first, getting started. From the starter code that was provided, you have 3 classes, which is the game class, board class, and square class. These are called components, and each component will perform various actions. For the game class, it renders the game board, and the game info div. The board class renders the status div and the 3x3 board of squares. And the square class will render each individual square. You notice that from the starter code that at the very bottom of the 3 components, we see that that there is this line of code. This line of code takes in the game component over here as the first parameter, and the location within the DOM that the component will be rendered at. In an object-oriented sense, you can think of this as instantiating objects, or in Jason's ICS 111 class, using the easy library to instantiate an image at the location. In this case, it's the div with the ID root in the HTML file. So at this point, none of the code is interactive yet. So with the code we have so far, this is what we should see, where it's just next player with an X and an empty 3x3 board. So now let's get to passing data through props. Here is some code within the board class, which under the return and the div, it shows the class name and which is board row, and it also calls this function render square and it has numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, and it continues on all the way till 9. And so here we're trying to make each square from this show numbers from 1 to 9. So through the React framework, within our board component, we call the React function render square with the integer I. And so we know that within the board component and the square component, that each square should return an increasing I value, or whatever I value we entered. Within the square component, the render method is used, and here we have each square be called in the class name, and then we take in this prop value, which will call the previous method and put in each number. So now finally we have this. So let's try to make it interactive. So using the Java arrow syntax function, which we can see more of and more documentation in this developer Mozilla site, we can use that to get the onClick function to call whatever this is. So in this case, whenever we click a square, it will set the value of x, and we call the set state and this state value. So whenever this set state is called, it updates to the component is scheduled and causes the React to merge in a past state update and re-render the component along with its descendants. So in order for React to know that we're using the set state, we have to make a constructor in the square class. And so here we just set this state equals the value of null, because we'll be setting x in the previous code. So now we can finally add x's to the board and the state is saved. Thank you.